It surprised me greatly the number of letters and emails I was sent by North East folk from all over the world, telling me how much my last video had meant to them. Colin Grant in Toronto said it had gone round his heart like a hairy worm. Now that is praise indeed. So with that in mind, and especially for all you folk that are Hine, I've composed Thochts o Hame.